All right, we're back.
And we're back.
All right, so good pee break, good water break.
You look thinner.
I do. I
You
drank
look about. You said you were what, 212 right now? You look like a good 210.
a good 210, no doubt, definitely. So I drink a lot of water. So I drink at least a gallon a day, if not more. So
He likes to call it water.
I drink a lot of water.
We in the gym debate. We really think it's tequila or vodka.
I did drink a decent amount of whiskey this weekend.
Well, there you go.
Memorial Day weekend. Yes, I did.
I was not invited to his place. I still am recovering.
Yes. All right, so we're going to talk a little Star Wars.
Or whatever.
But, I like to talk Star Wars.
All right, let's do it.
Now, with this being said, I know Brad gets on Twitter. So if you're watching from Twitter and talks about like that I'm some type of geek.
He is the total geek.
I know some, but I'm not a geek. I can't quote dates or all that type of stuff. I know what, before the Battle of Yavin, those type of things. But I know some of the basic timeline of Star Wars, but I'm not like perfect with it. But like as I've done this podcast, I started like watching a lot of videos. It gets me intrigued about certain book series that I never did read. And I read a bunch of them when I was younger.
Before you start, I want to call out Wikipedia.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to give them a shout out. He'll probably never listen to this, but we've become spirit animals.
Just also remember, I don't do Twitter. So when Brad's talking, it's just for him.
Also, forever Twitter response, we will send you one 8x10 glossy picture of Casey shirtless and oiled up.
That is not going to happen.
Guns shining. All right.
Not going to happen.
Now let's go back into your book review. What's the name of this book series?
So it was Fate of the Jedi.
Fate of the Jedi.
8 books.
8 books.
From what I understand, doing a little research, these are the last books done before Disney. I think they got done in 2012.
Okay.
I think before Disney took over Lucasfilm.
And what period did this take? Was this after New Hope? Before the sequels?
This was the last ones they did, so it was like 40 years after Jedi.
Okay.
So this is the end of all the good stuff that happened that Kathleen Kennedy screwed up by doing her own little bullshit thing.
Yeah.
So...
All right. Well, first of all, let's real quick. We got to think.
Let's not talk about Kathleen Kennedy.
No, let's talk about a kettlebell rating system. So we're going to say 5 kettlebells is the best. 1 kettlebell is Kathleen Kennedy.
You're going to give her a whole kettlebell?
Okay, half a kettlebell.
They're going to drop it from 100 foot high.
The grimy part of the kettlebell underneath, that'll be hurt. So we know that takes place around 40 years after Return
of the Jedi.
Okay. And
can you say it? Return of the Jedi.
Or revenge.
As most Jedi or most Star Wars fans say, they just call it Jedi.
Yeah, that's how I say it.
They don't say
Jedi.
Return, but it's just Jedi. But
okay,
I know that you're not that big of a Star Wars fan.
That is hurtful.
You don't read any books. I have to educate you all the time on
gonna make me cry.
Fighting styles and what happened in the past, the Yugoslavia War.
All right, so after you hurt my feelings, and this is what I put up with during training, by the way, just so with a peek in. Okay, so now we got the kettlebell system. First of all, what would you give?
5 is best.
5 kettlebells is like cannot think of one improvement. It is the ultimate, recommended to everybody. One of the top 3 book series I've ever read. 1 kettlebell is, oh my God, they should let Kathleen Kennedy do another Star Wars series.
Damn, that's like, it would have to. I've never read a Star Wars book that Kathleen Kennedy would have better ideas.
Okay, so if you give a 1 kettlebell, then it really got to be on the bottom. But you can do like half kettlebells too. So you can
I would give it. I don't know, because you sit there and I just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like I'm listening to it and I enjoy it because I do everything on Audible now. I don't read. Back when I used to.
Yeah.
Like when I read Air and the Hand of Thrawn and the Yugoslavia Rogue Squadron, all those other book series that I read. Back when I read those, I was all manual reading.
Yeah.
You know, and I had the hardcover. I'd buy the hardcovers when they came out.
Yeah. The poor people way.
And then I had them in a plastic container at my mom's house, and they ripped an orchard out next door to her, and all the rats and stuff that lived out in the orchard started trying to come into the house, and they chewed up like all my hardcover Star Wars books.
And you've never been the same since.
It was quite a bummer. They also ruined a bunch of my G.I. Joe and
that hurts.
toys. They didn't ruin them, but they crapped all over them. They chewed on, like, you know, I had the Apache helicopter.
Yes, dude.
And they chewed on I was saving them for my kids, you know?
Yeah, that was going to be my retirement.
Yeah. And
Thanks, Mom.
I had GoBots. I had Transformers. I had a lot of Star Wars stuff, too.
Yeah.
Not as much. Star Wars stuff was expensive back
then.
It was cheaper.
Did you get the aircraft carrier for G.I. Joe? Because only like the rich kids.
No, but one of my friends did. But it took up a chunk of his room.
Yeah.
And he had a big room, but I mean, that thing was huge.
All right, we're digressing.
You know what I did have? I had like the battle platform.
Oh, that was good.
Fort.
Yes, I had that.
Yeah, that was cool. My favorite thing was the Thing, the Cobra, little tiny Cobra one person Cobra helicopter.
Yeah.
That and the Hiss.
Yes.
Tank. Those two, because it had the turn on the front.
With the two little guns.
And it had one gun.
Oh, that's right. And then you had the one guy, the little driver.
Thing. Now the Hiss had the two guns.
Yeah, so I was thinking about the Hiss.
It had like rockets on the side.
That's a whole nother podcast. See, we digress. All right, so back to the book.
Well, we said other things too, not just Star Wars.
We're doing a book review right now. This is a book review segment.
So it's 8 books. It's called Fate of the Jedi, and there's a big title for each one, like Deceit or, you know, whatever. They had big titles, and they're written by different authors, which is cool because it keeps the continuity all the way through. But you can kind of see little variations, like Troy Dennings does a few of them, and you can tell it's his style of writing as opposed to a few of the other. I think there's 3 people that write on this book series.
Yeah.
Each of them do like 2, maybe there's 4 people. I think there's one person I didn't recognize her name, but they're very well done. Cohesive, everyone's cohesive. It goes right into the next, and it is like if you like Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, you don't even know who somebody. I'm trying to think of characters you know. So there's Han Solo,
Chewbacca.
No, he's dead.
Oh, spoilers!
He died in the Yuzong Vong War. Luke Skywalker, Han Solo.
Which are all the really 2 that
Princess
I need.
Leia or Jedi Knight Princess Leia.
Ooh.
You don't know anybody
CP3O, R2D2.
Yeah, C3PO and R2D2 are both in it. Lando does make little bit parts in it. He's still alive.
Look how much you zoomed in on the camera. Now you can really see the guns.
What?
Look at that.
Oh, I thought you were supposed to shut that off.
No, we're just going to roll.
All right.
Now they can really see. I'm sorry. Keep going on.
I did get a good tan this weekend too because I was outside power washing.
Me too, but you would never see it compared to yours. But all right, we're digressing
quite
again.
A different shade of color. So, and then all their offspring.
Yeah.
Some of them have died because there's a whole other book series, and it's one of the ones I didn't get deep in. I think I read one into the Jedi Academy, and then they get into like, I don't know, I have a book called Betrayal.
Ooh.
But there's a whole book series. So one of the sons, Jason Solo, becomes Darth Kaitis. And there's a whole book series and a whole thing, and I have not dove into that one. That's on my list in the future.
So give me a brief arc of what this is.
Well, I'm damn.
All right.
But I'm having to lay it out.
Okay.
You're talking about the kids. So you got Ben Skywalker. You got Jaina Solo, who is the badass Jedi Knight. She's called the Sword of the Jedi.
Yeah.
She's a badass. So
you
it's Han and Leia's daughter.
Okay. You need to text me this so I can put it in our podcast notes. So other people, like my mom, if she'll ever listen again.
Anyway, there's offspring of Luke and Leia. And Leia and Han have kids. There's only one, Ben Skywalker. So of Luke and Mara Jade, which is his wife, who's dead also in this series, because this is 40 years after. Then there's a whole Jedi Council. There's all these Jedis. So in the future, Luke Skywalker is the Jedi Master.
He's like the alpha,
Oh yeah,
where he should
not
be.
the master. He is the Grand Master of the Jedi Order. So then there's a bunch of other masters. So what happens is in those series where he takes out Darth, where they all have to big war against Jason Solo, turned into Darth Kaitis, he gets banned from being on Coruscant. He's basically exiled was his punishment because they blamed him kind of for like, you know, the whole problem or whatever. So they start off the book series and he's going out to find what turned Jason Solo into Darth Kaitis because Jason Solo kind of left going out for answers. So it's overarching part of the first like 3 or 4 books is they're trying to follow his path of what he did. Cool. And it kind of leads them down this path. So this whole path that goes down, the main idea of the book series is there's a whole planet of Sith that's the lost tribe of the Sith on this planet called Kesh.
You had me at Planet of Sith.
And it starts off, there's also like Sith ships.
Oh.
So that go and they find power like sensitives in the Sith and they train them. These ships are like artificial intelligence, which we've been talking a lot about recently in our pop culture. So it starts off and it goes to this planet called Kesh, which is a planet of Sith, who the Jedi know nothing about. And there's also this other you got to pick it up early in the book series, but there's also these other Sith that are out there too. And so, and it really doesn't come into play until right at the end of the book series.
Oh, man.
They go back to what happened in that first book because there's these other Sith that were trying to capture ship. They just call it ship. Yeah. It's a Sith ship, but...
Say that 2 times fast.
We'll be talking about shit ships.
Yeah.
So there's this planet, and then the ship comes and then they start going out into the world again. Yeah. So this ship takes them off world. They're marooned on the planet. They don't have any space worthy ships. Yeah. So ship takes them out, and then they're Sith. So they start taking over ships. So they start building a fleet of ships, right? So Luke's out there following this path. These Sith are building this fleet. There's a bunch of political intrigue going on Coruscant. Admiral Dalla is Chief of State Dalla. If you know who Admiral Dalla is, I don't know if you do. But and then there's all this political intrigue going on, and she's trying to rein in the Jedi and put them under the thumb of the Galactic or the Empire, the Galactic Alliance. Or is it that? I always get those confused.
Welcome to the 50s.
There's 2 things. There's 2 competing. There's the Imperials, which are now considered the Galactic Empire. Yeah. And then there's the Alliance group. And they came together to fight in the Yugoslavia War. Yeah. They came together to fight the people that hated like Thrawn and all them. They all came together to fight the Yugoslavia that came from an outside galaxy. And invaded. So they all got together to fight, right? Yeah. So then after they defeated them, then they have to form like kind of a coalition government. They never really, because the Imperials are the Imperials. Yeah. You know, Darth Vader, the Emperor. There's no Force sense, no Sith leading them, but they're still backstabbing Moffs. They're led by a bunch of Moffs that are power hungry, and they all treat the people like, you know, not like slaves, but like they're under the thumb of the Empire. So they're trying
like trainer client.
They're trying to merge together. So I don't want to get like into a bunch of names of people because then you're going to be like, oh, but anyway,
just give us the overall.
I'm have to build up the different things going on. So there's all this political intrigue. There's all this infighting.
So you got all these parties.
They're trying to get the Jedi to do exactly what they want to do. Yeah. And Dalla is doing this. She wants to put the Jedi under her thumb. She wants them to be, and the Jedi are like kind of like, you know, this is not what we do. This is not our charter.
He flipped off the camera for those only listening.
Yeah. So the Jedi are just kind of like, they're not allowing that to happen. They just kind of try to work with her and try to be reasonable, but she's a piece of crap. She eventually gets deposed and then tries to take the Empire part of it over to fight against. Anyway, this is a whole long thing. But the overarching thing is there's this entity called Abeloth. Abeloth is a super powerful force god, you could call it, or entity. I don't know if you call it a god. So people have seen the Clone Wars when Anakin and Obi-Wan go to the world between worlds where there is the father and the daughter and the son who represent the balance of the force. Abeloth came from there. And she originally comes in as a servant, kind of to them. We don't really, I guess the Force creates her. She comes in as a normal human, as a servant, and then she starts manipulating and gaining power and manipulating the situation. But for a while, she's making things better. She's helping mute kind of the dark side of the sun, and then the daughter is the light side of the Force.
Ooh.
And then there's the father, who's the balance between those two.
Oh, yeah.
And so she comes in and she's like immortal. Is kind of how they make it seem. And then she gains some like influence and power, but she's getting older and they're all young because they're celestials. They're gods of the Force, pretty much. And
he's getting into it now, man.
Yeah. And so Abeloth is basically what happens. It's like she wanted to stay young and stay with her family. She becomes the mother.
Yeah.
Kind of. But she isn't immortal. So then she drinks from the pool of knowledge, I believe. And that gives her powers that make her almost a celestial.
Ooh.
You'll find in the end, when Luke Skywalker...
Spoilers.
And an unknown Sith, which is never really told, but I think he's from this other group of Sith. Remember I was saying at the start in the first book, we were talking about there's a lost tribe of the Sith. And then there's this other group of Sith that they don't talk about at all, the whole book series. So I think he's the leader of those Sith.
Ooh.
But he keeps very mysterious because they're setting up the next book, and then there's going to be they talk
so there's
about
another book
a couple hundred years, if not 1,000 years of war between the Sith and the
Jedi.
Oh
my gosh, I'm sold.
And the Sith seem to be stronger, more powerful than the Jedi.
Yeah.
From what the visions of the future are happening. So there's this whole balance thing. So anyway, Abeloth only comes when there's imbalance in the Force.
Okay.
She's only allowed to escape. They basically, it's a super complicated story, so I just want to give the gist. The Abeloth is the main character.
Yeah.
The Sith and the Jedi are trying to stop her, but the Sith side with her more often because she's a dark side Force. You know, she's a user of the dark side. She is not light at all. She's the
Kathleen Kennedy.
They call her the bringer of chaos.
I call that my wife. Bing, bada boom. Okay, sorry.
I hope your wife isn't watching.
She's never going to listen to this.
The whole gist comes down to this battle with Abeloth is so powerful, like you can't beat her. She can like take over people's bodies, consume their bodies, and take them over.
Yeah.
And like they don't know this at first, but then they find out she can do one, but then they don't know that she can do multiple bodies. That she gets stronger, and she feeds off chaos, fear, all the things of the dark side of the Force. Yeah. Right. So the whole thing is about defeating her. This whole book series is about defeating Abeloth.
Okay.
And
you could have just saved 20 minutes of
but you got to know some of the characters. So you got a Jedi High Council, all the masters.
Yeah.
Then you got all the knights.
Yeah.
And
then you got like Luke, the master,
Leia and Han, and the big character.
And then you got a planet of Sith.
Is Alana Alana, who is the daughter of Jason Solo, who's Darth Caedus.
Yeah.
And Tinelkaw, who is the leader of the Hapen Consortium. Both Force users, and she's super powerful. And the whole point is she's the one who's hopefully going to bring the balance to the galaxy.
Yeah.
But there's all these Force visions. It's so in depth. I can't even, if I start going off one thing, I'm trying to keep it good. Because this isn't one book. This is 8 books.
I know you're struggling because there's a lot going on. You're doing good.
So much going on.
Nerd.
But if you get into this, Alana is the main focus of a lot of this, and Abeloth, but also Luke. And Luke suffers some very badly at the end of the book. Like you're not sure he's going to make it towards the end of the book.
Well, we do because we saw the sequels.
They stopped Abeloth.
Yeah.
Yeah, those sequels are bullshit.
All right, keep focused. I'm sorry, that was my fault.
I know you can't like distract me with this.
I mean, come on, you got like 10 more minutes.
So the bottom line is, towards the end, Luke and this Sith. Along with Ben, so there's different bodies.
Yeah.
So they basically kill these 3 of these bodies that are the main things. That one's in a computer. Abeloth actually integrates into the computer.
Yeah,
that's how powerful she is. Apparently, it's a Force ability that Tinelkaw, which is Alana's mother, who's the leader of the Hapen Consortium.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not true. It was one of Luke's old flames had the ability.
This would have been a good a good sequel trilogy. Just throwing it out there.
This could have been 6 movies.
Yeah, just
not even sequel trilogy. This
could
could
have
have been
been out
what
there.
happened after a sequel trilogy,
Yeah.
after Return of the Jedi, if they would have done Heir to the Empire and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking. This could have been the 12 movies in after Jedi. We're talking. There's so much good material in here. As a Star Wars fan, you get chills listening to it. I got like emotional a few times listening to it.
First of all, you had me at badass Luke Skywalker.
Luke Skywalker is so powerful.
Planet of Sith, like a secret planet of Sith
with the Sith.
Like that's all you had to say.
Him and his
like,
son and 8 ships of Sith and a whole group
fighting
of Sith,
a Force god.
fighting Abeloth.
That's all I need. Boom.
It is.
I'm in.
So freaking good.
I'm gonna.
I can't even tell you how good the book series is. It is excellent. I gave it a 5-star review on Audible.
All right. What's the barbell review right here? 1 to 5.
I give it 5 because I don't
5.
I can't
right off the bat.
I can't think of anything, but I give most There's some books Star Wars. I go, it was a good book, but it wasn't like that great.
Yeah.
But this was. It was 5. I mean, I would listen to it all over again, and I'd highly recommend it. But there's other books you should probably read before going into that book series because you want to know the story. Like for me, I knew most of the stuff they refer back. Like they talk about the Yugoslav. I go, oh, I read that. Heir to the Empire. They make references back to these past book series and stuff that's happened because this is in Legacies or Legends, whatever you want to call it. This is all the stuff that is
good stuff.
So they're referring back to it like it's canon.
Yeah.
So they refer back to these things. And the only thing is I didn't do the Darth Titus part of it.
Yeah.
So I need to go back and read those books. But I tell you what, doing the podcast and then watching other people that do podcasts and they got, little, or they even do like 10-minute blurbs here and there. It's got me really back into Star Wars. But reading these books, this 8-book series, holy crap. Like I'm going to go back and start off with Heir to the Empire again. I got one more book to read that isn't Star Wars.
Lame.
Shout out to Jack Carr. His new book came out. And so I've been waiting to read it until I finish this 8-book series. So now I'm on to it.
Lame.
And anybody who knows anything about good books and Terminal List, which Chris Pratt is on Amazon, freaking awesome. This is the book series. This is the 6th book in that series.
But we're focused. All right, we'll get to there.
So after that, I will listen to, because I've read Heir to the Empire several times, but it's been a long time since I have. So I want to start refreshing my memory on some of these things instead of just, going back because there's so much information out there.
Yeah.
And then you start thinking about the reason what's got me excited is with Kathleen Kennedy in charge of creative and making the path, there was no hope. Now the people that are in charge are Star Wars people that have read all these books, and there's hope that a lot of this stuff's going to start getting brought in. Dave Filoni, they're already starting to bring in there. We talked about the Heir to the Empire. They're going to make us. They can't make it purely how it is in the books because they sabotaged it with all the stuff.
That's kind of the trilogy he's thinking about.
Yeah, but they can't make it exactly. But they could bring a lot of it into play.
But they got the author in.
Well, yeah, Timothy Zahn is helping behind the scenes writing stuff. And he is the best sci-fi writer I've ever read. I've read some of his other books that are not Star Wars. He is hands down. If you got him in there, like adapting the Heir to the Empire into
Thrawn
and bringing in the Mandoverse characters, and then adding in the storyline, holy cow. So I'm getting excited about the old books because they're going to start using some of that source material now that Kathleen is going to be gone. Hopefully very soon. Hopefully, it looks like Indiana Jones is not getting the best. They're doing a bunch of reshoots and stuff and re-editing.
Did not get a lot of good reviews.
It's not looking good.
No.
Which means Kathleen won't finish out her contract and they're going to get rid of her early. This is the real.
Don't get me all excited.
Shout out to Mike Zero, who I watch his little videos.
I'll have to text him or tweet him.
Yeah, he always puts out great information on what's going on because he won't say it.
But we will because we have no listeners.
I hate Kathleen Kennedy. The only person on the planet I really hate because she sabotaged my favorite thing is Star Wars.
We got to say at least every episode.
Yeah, she is horrible. And we do say it a lot.
Well, it's true.
Brad knows if he brings it up, I'll talk about it because I dislike her so much, how she screwed up Star Wars so bad. But I watch his stuff, and it sounds like it also sounds like she's been blackballed in Hollywood. Like she ain't gonna go work at somewhere else. She's trying to do her own studio or whatever. But it sounds like she's been kind of blackballed because how hard difficult she is to deal with as a person.
We'll see.
To know that, like all these other ones said, hey, you're all black. You're not going to be coming to Universal or Paramount or any of these other ones.
I'm excited that we did our first book review here at the podcast.
It wasn't even good because it's 8 books, and it's so hard to do a book review on 8 books.
Well.
We should have, like, in the future, if we're like doing it, we got to do one book at a time because then I can like give you a good synopsis.
All you had to say was
basically Abeloth, Luke Skywalker, Lost Tribe of the Sith,
and that's all you had to say.
Alana Solo is the future of the book, is what they're leading up to. All the kids, Jaina Solo, who's a badass in it.
I just got one thing to say before we go because we got to wrap up soon. It just drives me crazy, not in a bad way, that you have all of these really cool Star Wars names like Thrawn, Kylo, all of these eccentric names, and then you have Ben. I'm like, what's going on?
Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ben Kenobi.
Yeah, but who called him Ben at first? Like Luke and Ben?
Yeah.
That's the best you could have done. All right, I'm just saying.
They also named one of the.
This is Darth.
There's also a Ben Solo who gets killed too.
I'm gonna Darth Insidious Bob.
Well, Luke. It's a biblical name.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, Ben. Okay,
Ben Solo.
Could have thrown Howard in there.
It's a tribute to Obi-Wan Kenobi, which none of them would be around if it wasn't for him.
I understand that, but they should never have been Ben Kenobi. Should have been like,
They can't all be bangers. They can't all be Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah.
But would you name your kid Thrawn?
I totally would.
I would not.
My wife won't let me, but I totally would.
Yeah. I mean, because it's just it's something in a galaxy far, far away, not in our galaxy.
I was this close, and for those who are only listening, my fingers are about an inch apart. This close from naming my firstborn son Leonidas Eisenheim Erie. And then my wife at the very last second says, I don't know about Eisenheim and Leonidas. And I'm like, come on!
Home Leo.
That's what I said. I'm like, Leonidas, because that's when 300 was out. I worked on the movie.
For my son, whose name is Jackson, and we named him after my,
Action Jackson? Yeah, I get that.
My grandpa went by Jack. So we named him Jackson because my grandpa hated his first name.
Yeah.
So, but I was pushing for Luke.
See, should have. So we got error message on the computer. That's our sign that we should wrap this up. I can't read it because I'm
out because you got here late and now you got a hard out.
Well, look, you have to always wait for the talent, and clearly, I'm the talent.
But after I do Heir to the Empire, I will do a book review just on that. Because I don't want to do it now because my memories get clogged between different books.
Yeah.
Even like trying to do an 8-book summary, of what happens is hard to do. But Heir to the Empire, once I listen to it again, I will do a book report on it.
Okay.
And we'll go over that and give our opinions of what is good and what is bad, and we'll rate it and those type of things.
Good.
But I would give this book series
5 out of 5 kettlebells.
I loved it. It is so in depth. It is so detailed and is so coherent all the way through the whole books.
All right, well, tell us your website, phone number, and the name of the podcast, and let's get out of here, bro.
Name of the website is rosevillesc.com. Instagram, just look up Roseville Strength and Conditioning. Also, we have the Do or Do Not podcast on Instagram, so you can look that up.
And Twitter.
The Recoup Room. I have 3 Instagram things, and I'm on Facebook. And then this guy handles Twitter. And you do TikTok too?
I do some TikToking.
So he handles those things, and that'll be under the Do or Do Not podcast also.
Yeah.
Look us up on YouTube, like and subscribe. We enjoy doing this. We have a lot of fun. We talk about this stuff all the time, whether we were on a podcast or not. But we really do enjoy it. So like and subscribe, help us build up our viewers, and help us do some other things with the podcast.
And maybe my mom will love me.
Find this guy on Do or Do Not podcast on Twitter if you want to talk to him and interact. He's a real piece of work.
I'm a jerk.
He likes being a jerk sometimes too, especially behind his key. He's a keyboard hero.
I'm a troll.
Yeah.
That's good.
Good. You are a classic keyboard hero.
I am.
You're behind that keyboard talking a lot of shit.
I'm a
but you never
total-
talk this shit to somebody's face.
Not when they're as big as you, my friend.